Man, what a week of football we just had. From Bengals Bills to Steelers Ravens to Colts Jags to Bears Packers to Eagles Chargers Monday night, and the ramification of all of these cinematic games, we were fed big time. And we're going to digest that entire meal. But we've got to start with the main course in Arrowhead on Sunday night, where the Texans added yet another exclamation point to what has quickly become a truly generational run. I want to take you back to November 9th, literally just a month ago, where the Texans, after an 0-3 start, with an offense that had been rather inept and was still truly struggling, was now 3-5 with CJ Stroud out in the concussion protocol, and we're now down 29-10 against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home entering the fourth quarter, on the verge of falling to 3-6, with games against the Bills, the Colts, and the Chiefs all looming in the near future. But then, and I still truly can't believe this, an improbable comeback took place, because this Texans offense, led by Davis Mills, led 3 touchdown drives in a row against a pretty damn good Jaguars defense, by the way. And when paired with 2 3-and-outs forced by this Texans defense and a sack fumble that they returned for a touchdown, a 29-10 lead was erased, and the Texans pulled off a stunner to get back to 4-5 and save their season. And once they were able to get past the Titans the week after with Davis Mills, they were back at 5-5, entering this 3-game gauntlet. And I went into this 3-game gauntlet for them thinking, if they can just get one of these next 3 games against the Bills, Colts, and Chiefs, they'll be at 6-7. And if they win out, they have a pretty damn good chance to get into the postseason. And well, they got that first one pretty damn fast in Houston on Thursday night against the Bills, where despite CJ Stroud still being out and it being a Josh Allen Bills offense against the Davis Mills Texans offense, the Texans pulled off a shock upset and triumphed in large part thanks to their defense. And then they went into Indianapolis and stifled what has been a dominant Colts offense en route to a huge win in the AFC South. And then we saw what just happened on this Sunday night. They went into Arrowhead and delivered a dagger into the hearts of the team that defines this era of football. And they did it in their own house. And just like that, a team that was dead in the water just a month ago is now well and truly alive at 8-5, in control of their own destiny for the playoffs, right back in contention to retain their AFC South crown, and dare I say, a true contender to make it out of the AFC in what now feels like their best chance ever to make it to the Super Bowl. It is truly insane that in just a month, we've gone from Houston looking like one of the season's biggest disappointments to now being right up there to have their best chance in franchise history to make it to a Super Bowl. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe when they were up 24-0, that was probably their best chance at Super Bowl. Okay, I'm sorry, Texans fans. Sorry to bring back a bad memory. Sorry. You know what I mean, though, with this iteration of the team. And usually when teams have a turnaround that is this drastic, there's somewhere that you can typically go in the team and see some remarkable point of improvement. But in the Texans' case, that's not really there. The defense has been great since the start of the season. I mean, here's some of the early season games at Jacksonville and at Seattle, and you can see a lot of purple for both of these offenses, indicating their lack of efficiency. It's been the offense that has been struggling all season long, and we talked about these concerns coming into the season as to why there could be a chance Houston is fighting for the AFC South this year, which was in regards to their O-line, their run game, but their pass game has also been a struggle this year, as evidenced in these 2 games early in the season against Houston and Jacksonville. Look how much purple there is here. It's an insane lack of efficiency for this offense. And if we look at those last 3 games, there is some slight improvement, but there's still a lot of purple and a lot of room for improvement as this Chiefs game would suggest. And there was optimism for this Houston offense to improve this year, especially the passing game to resort back to CJ Stroud's rookie season form because of the new play caller and Nick Caley. But unfortunately, the passing game has not seen that improvement this year, and Nick Caley has gotten a lot of flack across the media due to his lack of adjustments in games. One good example of this is in the Seahawks game. Mike McDonald dialed up the pressure against this Texans O-line and challenged Stroud against the blitz and these Texans receivers to generate separation. And Houston had no answers this entire game. And then flash forward 2 months later to this Chiefs game this past Sunday. If you know Spags, he will dial up the pressure whenever he has a good chance to. And he dialed up the pressure whenever he had a good chance to, especially in that second half. And the Texans offense once again had no answers. That's why they 3-and-outed the first 3-4 times to start that second half. What I will say though is that although the Texans still struggle to have consistency on a drive-by-drive basis, they have shown flashes in two key areas that has enabled them to score more points, enough to let their defense do the rest. One of those areas is their run game. Historically, the Texans have had one of the worst run games in the league in recent years, but as of late, they've had the ability to punish teams that are not able to stop the run. The Bills game is a key example in that. And that's a huge credit to Woody Marks, their rookie running back, who has done a great job filling in for Joe Mixon all season long and providing that spark for them. The second place is their ability to generate big plays in the passing game. Here's a chart made by Sam Hoppin, every team's explosive play rate. If you look at the Texans all over the season, they've been bottom 10 in all the categories, 13% their explosive passing rate. In the last 4 games before the Chief game, that's gone from 13% to 20%, which is near top 10 in the league. And it's been these big plays for a struggling offense from a consistency perspective that has allowed them to move down the field quickly and get in scoring positions. And it was that CJ Stroud to Nico Collins 55-yard deep shot that is what allowed them to score their lone long touchdown drive against the Chiefs this past Sunday. Those flashes have been enough during this run because this defense, as great as it was at the start of the season, has been superhuman as of late. They've staked their claim as the best defense in the NFL because I genuinely cannot remember a run in recent seasons where we've seen a dominant defensive display across consecutive games like this. That too against some of the best QBs and offenses this league has to offer. I mean, how often do we see Josh Allen and this Bills offense struggle as much as they did as against the Houston defense 2 weeks ago when Allen was put to the floor like 8 times? How often do we see Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense struggle as much as they did against Houston this past Sunday? Negative 0.44 EPA per play is crazy. Look at this tweet from Ben Solak. Negative 0.54 EPA per dropback. Worst start of his career. Worst completion percentage of his career. Worst passer rating of his career. That is what this Texans defense is doing. They don't do anything that exotic defensively either. They sit in a cover 3 or deep cover 4 shell over 50% of the time, and they let their defensive talent that they've developed cook. And that's a huge testament to D'Amico Ryans and Matt Burke for leading that development and everyone on this Texans defensive roster for having that growth. And it all starts on the defensive line with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter anchoring a top 10 unit in pass rush win rate. And it continues in the back line with Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter. How many plays did that guy make yesterday, by the way? Just doing insane things in coverage. Jalen Petrie and Kalen Bullock as well at the safety positions. How many plays did Petrie make yesterday in coverage? You got Toto and Al Shire in the linebacking room too. Just an insane unit, man. An insane unit. This defense gives them a chance in any game. And in an AFC this year where the teams that are usually in pole position are not in pole position, having the best unit across every single team out there is a huge trait to have. The Chiefs are going to be the biggest story in the media all week long, and rightfully so, but the Texans also deserve to be a main story too for what they've done in the past month. which is why I wanted to lead with them and give them the appreciation that they deserve. Let's talk about the Chiefs now, though, because they're now 6-7. And okay, I know what you're thinking. 3, 2, 1, we're done with that. Okay, cool. They're now 6-7, and it's honestly just stunning and mesmerizing. Just like I said in my Uncharted Territory video, to see this play out. It's crazy. And I guess I did say 3 weeks ago, which I still believe at the time, that even though they were losing, it still felt like the Chiefs were playing better this season than they had in years past. And I had still felt at the time like they were a top 5 team in this league from a on the field standpoint, but in recent weeks they have absolutely not been, because it has been two things. It has been miscues, but mainly by their star players. I mean, Rashee Rice with the drop on the 4th and 1, Travis Kelce with the drop on the final drive down 7, and then the bobble that turned into the interception. Penalties across the board, be it the O line or the defense, killer holding penalties and DPIs that allow these opposing offenses to sustain drives. And all of that comes to say that the Chiefs have not started out games well. They are constantly putting themselves into holes, often multiple possessions. And when you're playing teams as good as the Colts, Cowboys, and Texans, it's not sustainable to come back from these double-digit deficits against teams this good every single week. Last season, even though they were winning all these one-score games, were incredibly lucky in that regard, many of the times they were still playing with the lead most of the way. But in this case, this year, they're now coming behind and being the ones that ultimately fall short. Their season is on life support now, though, and by life support, I mean CPR, because they have to win this Sunday at home against the Chargers. If they don't, their season is over. And even if they do that, they still have to win out, which, by the way, features another game against the Broncos. Not easy. And even if they do that, they need the Colts to fall off, which now, given their situation, can easily happen with their schedule too. But even with that, they need the Chargers to lose 2 of their other 3 games, which, given they play the Cowboys, Texans, and Broncos, is also plausible. But you're asking for a lot. And all of that starts with you going 4-0. And the Chiefs need to establish the confidence to themselves at this point that they can do that. Let's move forward, though, with one of the teams the Chiefs would have to pass, and that's the Colts. And man, I feel so bad for Colts fans, man. I really do, because their situation is the opposite of Houston. Let's flash back once again to a month ago when the Colts were 7-1 with one of the most explosive offenses in the league and the revitalized quarterback of 2025 in Daniel Jones. So much so they felt comfortable in that they went ahead and traded their first round picks these next couple of years to go acquire an all-pro corner in Sauce Gardner to try and contend in what was and still is a very wide open AFC. But ever since then, a complete turn of events. The guy that they went ahead and traded those first round picks for strained his calf, and ever since you can feel the effect of that on the defense. They've allowed a lot of explosive plays in the passing game these last couple of weeks, bottom 5 explosive play rate allowed in that regard. And then the guy that they felt comfortable enough in to go ahead and trade those 2 first round picks fractured his fibula. You could feel the effects of the offense on that in terms of their decline in big play generation, the decline in efficiency for Jonathan Taylor, the struggles in pure dropback situations where that lack of mobility kind of exploited that Colts O-line inefficiencies. And then he tore his Achilles last Sunday in Jacksonville, and it just sucks given what the schedule's about to be, the fact they're already down at the 7 seed, 8-5. Who knows who's going to be their quarterback? It might be 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, and salute to him, but that's a complete unknown what we're getting after 5 years of not playing football. I feel so bad for the Colts. I really do. However, that's opened the door for the Jaguars, who are quietly 9-4 atop the AFC South and are now the favorites to go win it, given they still get to play the Jets, Titans, and this injured Colts team again. It's kind of crazy because just a month ago, flashing back again, the Jaguars felt like one of those yo-yo teams because of their offense. We didn't know what version of Trevor Lawrence and the rest of this offense we were going to get every single week. But since then, they've had some pretty good, consistent showings over the last month and dominant wins against the Chargers, Titans and this Colts game as well. And that's a testament to Liam Cohen, who's doing a great job here in his first season, and Anthony Campanile, their defensive coordinator, who has led what is quietly a very good Jaguars defense, one of the best defenses on early downs, especially against the run. This run defense has been impeccable, and this offensive line has quietly been much improved from last season. They're top 10 in both pass block win rate and run block win rate. That's made Trevor Lawrence more comfortable, and it's shown, especially in recent performances. Ultimately, they still do have some of that yo-yo sense to them, and it's going to be that sense on offense and how Trevor Lawrence plays that dictates how far they can go in January. But nonetheless, it's a bright story for them to be atop the AFC South at this point. It's growth. And for this organization, that's a good thing. Moving to Bengals Bills, man, that was the Bengals' chance, man. That was the Bengals' chance. What a missed opportunity. They were up double digits in the fourth quarter, on the verge of getting 5-8, and given the rest of their schedule this year, they easily could have won out, gone 9-8, and had serious life as what they looked like the best AFC North team right now, given what we saw in Baltimore, where neither team looked particularly good. But man, that Christian Benford pick six and then subsequent Joe Burrow interception, the play after, huge turn of events, potentially season ending for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's a shame because they've looked really good the last 2 weeks. The offense was pretty damn spectacular this past Sunday against Buffalo. The defense got enough stops for their offense to do the work. And yeah, man, just a missed opportunity for Cincy. And I feel for them as well. Given if Joe Burrow was healthy, looking at what the state of this division is, they probably win this division. But for Buffalo, huge win for them to remain in the AFC East race, but the questions around them are the same as what they've been most of the season. And had they lost to Cincinnati today and not come back from 10 down in the fourth, those questions would be a lot louder. Their offense is quite literally the most explosive in the NFL, but they've got to stop with the negative plays and the turnovers that sprung up again today so that they don't beat themselves. Josh Allen's time to throw and number of sacks have gone up dramatically from last season behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. He has to be better in that regard, and this offense with the fumbles also has to be better. If they don't beat themselves, they are too explosive and too dominant for defenses to stop consistently, as evidenced by how easy they make third and long conversions look. And then the defense has to be better in preventing big plays. They're bottom 10 on the season in that regard, and stopping the run. They are bottom 10 on the season in that regard too, and they were better today on that front against Cincy, or 2 days ago is when I'm recording it, but 2 weeks ago against the Texans, they were not that good. So both of these things are important for them to be the contender that they should be in a year without Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow there. Josh Allen's the only quarterback mainstay in the AFC likely to be in the playoff picture at this point. They've got to capitalize, and they need to fix these two issues to do that. And the Patriots game and Eagles game to close out the year are going to be good litmus tests in that regard. Salute to the Chargers as well, who pulled off a, how do I put this, ugly win against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. Gutsy performance from Justin Herbert, who was clearly hampered out there with his left hand injury. And salute to Jesse Minter and this Chargers defense as well, which worked yet another masterclass against an Eagles offense, which has just been struggling all year long under Kevin Patullo. 5 turnovers generated in this game. This defense has got to drive the Chargers to at least 2 more wins in these final 4 games to secure that playoff spot. But it'll ultimately come down to Justin Herbert's health for this team, right? And how much he's overcome this left hand injury and healed over this final month of the season. And on top of that, it comes down to this Chargers O-line protecting him because he got absolutely hammered in this game by this Eagles D-line. And that is not sustainable when you have the Texans and Broncos breathing down your neck in the final 4 weeks. Let's finish with the Bears and Packers. And what a game, man. What an ending that saw the Packers just barely get back to the top of the NFC North, and what a turnaround it's been for them too in this last month. Just a month ago, they were getting walloped at home with terrible offensive performances against Carolina and Philly, and well, look at that offense now with some great performances against Detroit and in this Chicago game. And ever since Christian Watson has come back for them, they've been one of the most explosive offenses in the league. You can see the difference. And it was that difference between their passing offense generating those big plays in Chicago, not that allowed them to win this game. It was the Christian Watson slant over the middle taken to the house and the Bo Melton deep shot over the top. This offense at its peak can be one of the most explosive in the league and one of the best in the league. And when they're doing that, that's scary because that gives them one of the highest ceilings in the league too. And we've been seeing that over the last couple weeks because they can generate big plays at a top 10 rate and also prevent them at the second best rate in the NFL like they've been doing this season, only behind Denver. And oh yeah, they have a pretty damn good D-line too to generate pressure and negative plays on top of that. If they can just keep the consistency going, watch out for them in December and January as a threat. To be honest, though, I was equally, if not more, impressed by the Chicago Bears because I kind of know what Green Bay is at this point, but I don't know what Chicago's saying because I was impressed with the game against Philadelphia. But this game on the road in Lambeau against the favorites to win this division, it feels like one of those growing pains games, and it was in the first half. They did not look good in that half. They struggled mightily, and they could have easily gotten blown out, but they didn't. They were resilient, really resilient, and they almost came back and won that game. And that's a huge testament to their run game, which was impressive in Philadelphia and was impressive again in that second half. This O-line is top 10 in pass block win rate, run block win rate. That showed in the second half. This physicality of DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai showed. This run game that's top 5 in EPA per rush, one of the best in big runs generated too, showed in that second half. That constant resiliency in the run game truly wore out the Packers defense, something we've barely seen all year long, and it was impressive to watch them go on these clock-chewing drives led by this run game. And then you had Caleb Williams, who, while not looking spectacular in this game, did an insane job with his pressure and sack evasion around this Packers D-line and making something out of nothing across multiple plays, including on that final drive, which is a great trait for quarterbacks to have. And because of all these things, they were a mere play and then a 2-point conversion away from stunning the NFL landscape. And so maybe they lose this game, but I'm really excited for the rematch in 2 weeks. And I do see the Bears as a serious threat, obviously in years to come, but potentially even this year if they can solve their issues with the big plays in the passing game, a typical staple of a Ben Johnson offense, and then their defense as well, just being more efficient overall, play over play, because their early down metrics have not been good. So many good stories this year, man, between Chicago, Houston, Seattle, Jacksonville, Denver, New England. They're not going to be the main talking points of the town. That's going to go to the teams usually in the spotlight that are not there right now. But they deserve as much spotlighting as they can get because it's been their positivity that has created so much fun out of this season. And we're just getting started because have you seen the schedule that we have next Sunday? We have so much more in store.